Hello and welcome to a special edition of Everywoman brought to you from London. In this week's programme, the brutality of so-called honour killings. It's a hidden crime, but experts say it's on the rise throughout Europe. In Britain alone, research suggests it could account for 12 murders a year. We investigate the deaths from dishonour and we ask, is enough being done? It's a terrifying situation which increasing numbers of young people are facing across Europe. The risk of being killed by their families or forced to commit suicide because they've committed some perceived dishonour. It's causing such concern that police officers across the EU have been reopening murder files. And here in Britain, dedicated teams of senior prosecutors have been appointed to boost conviction rates. Well, later in the programme, we'll be examining one recent case of a 70-year-old grandmother jailed for the so-called honour killing of her daughter-in-law. But first, with me in the studio is an extraordinary couple, Jack and Zena Briggs, who went on the run 14 years ago after Zena's family tried to kill them. Let's have a listen to their story.
It's been difficult. It's been a nightmare at times. We've had to move over 30 times. We've had several name changes.
The older brother came on the phone and he said in a very cold, calm, matter-of-fact way, "You're both dead, you're both walking corpses." Well, it started off basically just as a friendship, nothing more really, and Zena would talk about her culture and traditions and religions, and then she mentioned that how she'd been promised from birth to marry this cousin back in Kashmir where her parents originate from. My
sister started threatening me and saying that if I didn't break it up, well, break off the relationship, that she was going to tell my mum and dad and my brothers, and that my passport went missing. And I thought, oh my God, she's getting serious, that she actually means they're going to send me back home. And I thought, I've got to go. It's now or never. I had already had my bags packed the night before, and I ripped up some bed sheets and I had tied knots into these bed sheets. And we were on there's 4 floors to the house, so I was in the top floor. And I opened up the bedroom window and started lowering out my bags. And I remember stepping out onto this cold, icy floor because the sun was just rising. And it was a cold, frosty morning. And I went round the corner, put on my boots, untied the bags, walked over the road, put my bags down and looked back at the house. And I thought, I'm never going to see him again.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Come on, come on, come on. It's going to be all right. It's all right. It's just going back there again. The first thing that happened when I called the family was that the eldest member, her sister, came on the phone and she was very hysterical, and then very calmly the older brother came on the phone and he said in a very cold, calm, matter-of-fact way, "You're both dead, you're both walking corpses. When I find you, I'm going to make sure that you found both of you in several bin liners, rubbish sacks. I'm going to sell my property, I'm going to hire a bounty hunter, private detective, and there's just nowhere within the UK that you'll go that you'll be safe."
Some of the places we've stayed in, it's been horrible, haven't they? I mean, but the thing is that we're very lucky. We've got each other. Some people have nobody, and I think we draw strength from each other. We have sad moments, but we've also got a great sense of humour, and I think that's been a part of how we've had to cope with it as well. We chose not to have children, and that was solely because of the way we were living. I would never put a child through that, and that was a hard decision to come to, especially as a woman. We need to move on with our lives, and it's one of the reasons we came out last year, because they've taken 14 years and they're not going to get any more. We said at the beginning when we made that decision that if we got a month, a year, if they found us, so be it, but we're not going to run again.
We've done nothing wrong, apart from fall in love.
Jack and Zena, we cannot stress enough just how much danger your lives are in. It's a very real threat, isn't it?
It is. We knew that was going to happen the day we left, the day we met, actually. So
you fully expected that kind of reaction?
I did, definitely. I think for Jack it was a case of the reality hit more so when we first left home.
And Jack, you were saying that because the family had hired bounty hunters, you just had no idea where the threat might come from, did you? Could have been anybody.
Absolutely no idea. My education on this subject started the first night that I made contact with Zena's family to say that my intentions were honourable and that we intended to get married. And that's when the death threats first were initiated down the phone by a member of Zena's family to me. When I speak at conferences, which I do now, and that, like whether it be at the Foreign Office or through Scotland Yard, I always try to get across that although it's important to try and understand the mindset of the perpetrators who carry out these barbaric murders, because that's what they are, they're absolutely barbaric murders, is more to the point of investigation and prevention of them, of trying not so much to understand them, but in those 2 points, prevention and investigation.
Zena, Jack's obviously just said that he gives seminars to police officers.
Yeah.
So obviously the whole idea of honour killings is now taken seriously. But did the authorities take you seriously when you first went to them and said your life was at risk?
No, I think in the beginning nobody was aware of the situation. I think people just thought that, oh, well, when we went to the authorities and explained to them what was happening to us, it was like, oh, right, OK, what do we do here? How do we deal with this?
I think when we first left in 92, 93, it's fair to say that the honour murders, the tag that's being given to these murders, simply to differentiate from different murders, wasn't actually about, although obviously it had been happening for thousands of years, it was just really starting to come to light and through what's termed the domestic violence units that were setting up at that time. So we were basically not pioneers, I suppose that's the wrong word, but we would
But you helped to bring it to public attention, because this is obviously something with the growth of immigrant communities in places like Britain and across Europe that the authorities are really now having to take notice of.
I think they can't hide from it now. At the end of the day, people are wrapping themselves in the cloak of religion and getting away with murder, and something needs to be done. We can't afford to lose young women just because they decide that they want something different in life. And just to choose your partner and fall in love with them, that they think then they can go along and then say, well, right, we're just going to bump both of you off. It's just not going to happen.
I think the numbers are one every month in this country, and I think the UN figures are 5,000 worldwide. Now, I strongly suggest that these are conservative figures. I think the number is far, far higher than that.
Now, I said earlier, you know, it's something within Muslim communities. Actually, it's nothing to do with Islam, is it?
No.
We should be very clear about that.
No, definitely. We've always said this has got nothing to do with Islam. Islam is a peaceful religion. Unfortunately, it's cultural belief and community beliefs that leads these people to do what they do.
Jack, I know that you got new passports, new identities, and you don't stay in one place for very long. Did that make it easier? Did the new passports and the new identities make things easier?
To a certain degree it did, but it basically tied our hands, because at the beginning when we were told we would receive the new package, as I term it, we were told that we would get a passport, national insurance number and a medical card. But unfortunately, the truth of the matter was that although we received them, we were also told that we'd get what's termed in the business of change of identity, the legend, which is your CV, it's your social and your work history. We didn't actually receive them. Well, you can't use work references previous, you can't use character references.
Because there's no background.
Exactly,
No,
yeah. And to this day, we still haven't got a marriage certificate or a birth certificate. So
what
You're
more needs
reborn
to be
again.
done? Because, I mean, there's obviously, we've talked about the awareness, but what else needs to be done to physically help people who are at risk?
Well, I think first of all, the education needs to start within communities. Until communities break that barrier down and stop hiding these perpetrators, these murderers, then it's the only way forward. We can go out there and educate as much as we like, but we need to break that barrier first.
Obviously, we've still got a long way to go, and I think if we can raise that awareness, and it's not just with the police, it's what I call frontline services, and that's social services, Department of Works and Pensions, welfare, so that there is a network of people talking to each other. So when an individual or a couple comes to the police or whoever they may approach, there is that network set up to get them safely away.
Do you think you will ever be reconciled with your family? Do you think they will ever see what a loyal and courageous man Jack is?
I don't think it'll ever happen. They'll never come and I think it's always that fear is going to be there, knowing that if they, because we don't believe in reconciliation, one minute they can say, oh, well, come back home, we'll open you up, bring you in with open arms, and before you can know it, turn around the corner one day and that's it. It's over.
But you wouldn't have done anything differently if
No.
you'd known what you know now?
No, I would never change a thing. He's the love of my life, and he's the best thing I've got, and he is a courageous man, and I don't think he realises that.
Well, I think everybody realises that listening to your story. Jack and Zena, I know you don't think you're an extraordinary couple, but I certainly do, and I'm really pleased that you came to speak to me here.
Thank you for giving us the time
Thank
to
you
raise
very
awareness.
much
It's
indeed.
nice to be here.
Thank you.
Well, coming up next, the chilling extent of just how far a family will go to preserve so-called honour. This white-haired old grandma arranged the murder of her daughter-in-law just because she wanted a divorce. We speak to the victim's brother about his tireless campaign for justice next.